Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with a bunch of nerds today, and we're going to be playing some Open Legend RPG. It's a sponsored game by Open Legend, of course, and Aether Skies, the beginning of the end. So we started off with 13 flying cities at the very beginning of the campaign. Somewhere in the near history, there was a war. One of those cities got sunk, and after that, things kind of started going to hell. This area opened up in the sky called the Gloom, and the fallen city had risen. Our brave adventurers actually led an expedition to such city, which is named Haven, and they discovered that it is overrun by monsters and living horrors. So they are now trying to figure out how to keep the gloom from spreading. And to that end, they've visited several of the different cities. They work for an organization called the Aether Skies. These are cell-like organizations. It's one organization, but they all work independently. And for the first time in history, they've actually begun working together because they feel like this threat is big enough that they have to put aside their differences. So with that, they've assembled a team from the various cities who's been investigating, and that has led them all the way to the surface world, which very few have tread, except for a couple of secret expeditions that some of our players have actually been on. And that leaves us where we are today on the surface, and they have just discovered a fortress all by itself just outside the area of Gloom, which they are heading towards. And they've encountered this stone-like race of monks, which apparently is very similar to one of Ty Johnson's races in one of his books. So I might have inadvertently lifted. I don't know. I'll have to see if he's got the whole thing copyrighted or not. But with that, let us have our players introduce themselves and their characters.
Okay, I'm Nerdarchy.com web editor Doug, and I'm playing Raz Raketa, who is a female dwarven former military officer and now kind of washed up vet who is focused on the mission of getting to the site where Haven was on the ground, or we think, and solving this mystery.
Awesome. I'm just going to go down the line. Hey, Megan.
Okay, hi, I'm Staff Writer Megan. I'll be playing Dr. Lucilia Heliotrope, who is currently / ongoing in a battle with her subconscious, who is now taking the form of a shadow dragon.
And we got Nerdarchy Ted.
What's up, everybody? As Dave says, I am Nerdarchy Ted. I will be playing Bunny, the Kobold Etherficer, or Artificer, for those not up in the Aether Skies terminology.
And that brings it's reversed there. That's funny. we have staff writer Ty Johnson in the house.
Hi everybody, I'm former Nerdarchy site web editor and current occasional writer for the site, Ty Johnston. I play Israel Amadeus. All you really know is he has a sword and a gun, and he's the best Open Legends character here.
Last but not least,
Professor Bill, Comic Book University on YouTube, and also junior staff writer in training. I think we all are, in a sense. But I'm playing Krizik, the psychic kobold, who is wounded, paraplegic, but he uses telekinesis to overcome that. And he likes to put delusions of grandeur psychically into Ty Johnston's head.
Awesome. They had to get there somehow.
So I'm going to throw this out there because our actual authors hate to do so. Both Ty and Megan are actually published authors, and you can find their stuff on Amazon under Ty Johnston or Megan R. Miller.
There you go. Go get some books, people. Read a book. Just not right now. So with that, we had finished off. You guys were basically, given rooms to kind of freshen up and get cleaned, and they kind of gave you like robes to put on if you wanted to, and they would launder your clothes for you. And they've offered to have you guys partake a meal with them, and I believe you guys were kind of led to a great hall and you were informed that pretty much everyone in the fortress is attending this. Aside from maybe a couple that might be on watch right now, which that number is not very impressive, a few dozen at best of hooded figures. They're all now, sitting here preparing the meal. You guys are ushered to benches. Everything is really kind of plain. You're probably happy to see there's no weird foods that have been put out. Everything it may look different, but it's not like when you guys broke bread with the halflings and there was things wriggling and stuff.
Thank goodness.
Dr. Lucy is kind of disappointed.
Is it a combination of meat, starch, and vegetable, or is it leaning away from any of those?
It is. You don't see any meats. It looks to be all fruits or vegetables, and some nuts and that kind of stuff, as well as baked goods like breads. It's very simple fare. And for the first time, you see that everyone actually, their hoods are down on their robes, and universally, they all pretty much look the same. You find it really hard to distinguish whether there's a difference in gender or not. They literally look like they've been carved from stone.
One thing I wanted to do, I'm not going to do it like right now at the meal in front of everybody, but maybe earlier while we were changing our clothes, doing that thing, I did want to take out my sword and do kind of a detect magic. Just a general thing on the area and kind of on these people to see if they're kind of like magical. And I got a 21 on my roll.
Okay, so you definitely get like this low ambient magic, but nothing like specific or particularly strong spikes.
So are they just like observing us eat? I mean, are they kind of like? Do I get the sense like they're
you guys are led to the benches and sat down. And one of the things I was going to say is there is actually a couple of them that look, they're actually a little bit easier to distinguish, because when you get closer, you can see that their face is kind of craggly. Almost on a person, it would probably look like wrinkles, but on these guys, it really just looks like mini ravines and crags. So they have you all sit down and they ask you to wait a minute before eating, and they begin this this chant. So it seems like they're observing some kind of prayer or something.
Okay, I'll warily watch what's going on.
As typical, Bunny conforms to what the masses are doing.
Okay.
How tall are these guys?
They're like 7 foot.
Are they like proportionally wide? Or are they like spindly?
No, they actually have kind of like that triangle build.
Okay, so these guys are massive in comparison to me.
Yes, but at the same time, they're kind of on the slender side. They're not like huge, but they're somewhat broad shoulders, and then they just taper down.
In this great hall we're in, does it look like ancient? Is there any kind of like murals or anything on the wall depicting any sort of history or any? Or is it very sparse or what?
It is sparse. It is everything is carved from stone or is made of block. It does look aged, but it at a glance is really hard to tell.
If they are verbalizing their prayers out loud, even if softly, Israel will pay specific attention to that. Basically, he wants to sort of feel out if they're like praying to the real gods, the ones he and his people worship, or if they're like some false gods.
So you guys are kind of like probably on one bench, and who would be sitting on the ends? Like there's one of these monks on either side of you guys, just because of the way it's laid out. But who would be sitting on the ends?
I want to sit by a monk.
Israel would sit in an end. He would want to be able to have room to draw his sword.
Okay. So because you guys are actually almost shoulder to shoulder with them, you can actually feel like a low vibration coming off of them as they're doing their prayer. And then it ends, and and one of the monks at the head of the table, so it beckons everyone to eat.
Does my instinctual precognition give me a sense whether it's safe to eat this food? Yes or no? Question.
Yes.
It is safe. Oh well then. Nom 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 nom.
It's still really odd because no one has introduced themselves as an individual to you guys yet, nor have they asked for your own names.
Well, Raz's point of view is kind of like we're traveling. They offered us peace and succor, but she really just wants to get on with the mission of getting to Haven. So it's just like, if we get to rest and eat without getting attacked by flying serpents from the sky and then get on our way, that's great. That's my point of view.
So it has been a long time since we've had any travelers come through here. Some of us don't even remember the last time.
Why are
When was last time?
The last time was probably before the darkness.
why are you
So
here?
you were here when the darkness started.
Yes, we were. And as for why we watched the way, we used it. Our order used to have a temple not far from here, and we were charged with guarding it and keeping it safe and maintaining it.
Did something happen to it? We are actually seeking source of darkness. That is why we have come from the sky.
A great fire fell from the sky many, many years ago. It caused the darkness. Many of our kin were destroyed in that conflagration.
But not all of them, apparently. So how did you survive?
Some of us were charged with staying at the outpost. We would rotate shifts to garrison the outpost here. We are all that is left.
Is this the outpost?
Yes.
So the inside of this building is safe then.
As safe as anywhere. You've been out there. You've seen the dangers. It is not a kind place to live. It has gotten worse over the past, I don't know, 50, 60 years since the fire.
Wait,
Wait, the fire was only 50 or 60 years ago? Oh, I just had a
That's-
player epiphany, but not character.
Right?
How do you track years? What does that term mean to you?
The passage of the stars and the moon and the sun.
how many lunar cycles is in a year to you?
He says the same as it is to you guys.
So there were people living down here 50 or 60 years ago.
No, there are people, but we were living here. Then that's when the fire fell or came and purged. We saw it from here.
Didn't we see that happen in that crater?
You did. Well, yeah, you
broke
did
my
actually
mind.
do something like that.
And
So
this-
it's possible this is a thing that's happened more than once.
I suppose it could. We've only seen it once. But what crater? Are you talking? Are you talking the place of the dead?
Yes.
Yes.
We do not go to that place. We do not like it. It has many bad memories.
Inspired.
What used to be there? Who made those? Who made those monuments?
We do not know. They're ancient.
All right, so the fire falling has nothing to do with the cities rising up because we've been in floating cities for thousands of years.
Have we? Are you saying that out loud?
No, I'm asking Dave.
Yeah, the cities have been floating for 1,000 years. About 50 years though, one of them returned after being destroyed.
That's when Haven came back.
Yes.
Haven coming back, does that kind of link up with this fire then, with what this guy's talking about?
It's the time period in the area would seem about right. If he's saying, well, it also depends. You didn't ask him where the temple was.
Well, then that will be the next question. You know, can you tell me where this temple is? If this is the outpost?
Well, if you were to keep going past our garrison here, past the outpost, you would run into it eventually, or close.
Is it still standing?
It is, but it is not safe anymore, and it does not serve its purpose.
What dangers lie there?
There are the guardians that have been corrupted. There are those like us who were entrusted with it, but there are others. Have you heard of a golem before?
In texts, never in practice.
Well, golems are magical constructs, and several of them were in the temple, and they assisted us. They helped us. They were servants and guardians.
Golems are real.
Yes.
Oh, this is so cool. Like nerding out again. She has her notebook out, asking a million questions.
I cannot tell you how long it's been since one has been crafted. I mean, magic, has left the world a long time ago.
Well,
before, after the gods left, soon after the magic fled as well.
It depends upon what you mean by magic. I have the ability to manipulate the flow of ether into. I grab my tool because it's the least threatening, and I just flick the button and it emits the little cutting spark. And the Dr. Lucy here, she actually can directly manipulate.
So one of the ones on the end that's closest, or actually across from you, that's closest, can see it. He kind of crinkles his nose, and you're not sure how he scrunches his face up, as being as it kind of looks like it's made of stone, but he does in kind of like a sour expression. That is a perversion of magic. It's dangerous.
I'm just gonna kind of look at my hands here and not say anything.
What do you mean?
It is unclean.
Well, I mean, it's dangerous a little bit, but I mean that's that's why I do it this way. But why do you say it's unclean? Is there a way to clean it?
It is written in the texts of old that after the gods fled, the magic was corrupted, no longer safely be wielded, and much of the desolation you see around you is because of that.
We'll do what's necessary to put things right like anyone else would. Wee bit defensive there. Just a little.
Put it right? Maybe if the gods returned.
I'll kind of look over to the commander. Just kind of take a couple of subtle glances.
Yeah, he probably digs these guys.
This has now become an awkward family dinner, and I am not eating food, so I don't say anything rude.
This is all over Raz's head. I'm just kind of like,
if these golems are magical constructs, does that mean Mutt is a golem?
They look at Mutt. We were not sure what that is.
He's a dog.
Are there any prophecies or such in your ancient texts about the gods ever returning?
There is nothing. Nothing has been written. We were not expecting them to leave, but we have fulfilled our duty. And now, that which we regarded as broke, we do not know how to fix it.
Oh, I'm good at fixing things.
That is why we came to fix what is broken.
He kind of looks askance at you, Bunny, and looking at your tools. I'm not so sure that is the best way to fix it. I think that is closer to the problem.
What? Can you elaborate?
Well, we believe perhaps has something to do with what you call Aether has disrupted the purpose of the temple and has corrupted it. It has opened a way to dark places. A way that we held closed for many centuries until the fire rained down.
You held it closed. Do you have any idea of how to close it again?
We have not ventured back to the temple. We have lost too many brethren. This is all that is left of us.
Well, then there's also the whole concept of having a sealed door to keep air out. Once you close the door, the air is already in the room, so you can't just make it go away. So, is that accurate?
For one so little, you are very wise.
And I would like to point out, while I understand your concern about losing your rest of your brethren and losing your lives, I would have to argue that by staying here in safety, you're actually not fulfilling your mission.
We would concur with you. The problem is we do not actually know how to fulfill it now. Those that would have known are no more. Or worse.
Did they have writing?
There may be writings in the temple secreted away.
I imagine that the textual writings of a stone people would be quite durable.
It is our way.
Your written language, may I see it?
Yeah. So one of them reaches into like a pot, a big deep pocket in his robes, and pulls out like a tablet, but it's like stone, and drops it on the table in front of you with a thud.
And she's gonna like lean up and take an etching of it, and then ask what it says, and then write that down on a separate piece of paper so she can like parse through it and try and figure it out.
Okay, it's like a grocery list.
Okay.
Okay, Dave, do these guys, I don't know, in my mind, stone creatures would have a long memory. You know, they're made of stone. So I'm wondering, how far back does their ancestral memory go?
If you're kind of like probing around,
I'm totally
the ones
trying.
with the ones with the craggly faces, are extremely older than the oldest elf you've seen.
Oh, the oldest elf I've seen who wasn't whipping me is sitting over here to the side trying to be nonchalant. But that aside, okay.
Well, no, you technically saw her master, but he died.
That's true, but I'm pretty sure he died trying to kick me. I'm just... He was rearing back, all right? That wasn't a loss of balance. Anyway, so what is there anything that I can glean off of these ancestral memories?
Okay, so yeah, actually, kind of like sifting through without, or are you just kind of like going at the surface? Are you trying to be secret about it?
I'm trying to be secretive about it. I want to, I've been, of course, listening to, Krisic always does that, always listens to the surface thoughts of everybody. But if nobody, got anything, I know these guys are a lot of stone-faced stoics, but for the most part, if nobody seems to notice that I'm doing it, yeah, I'm definitely going to probe.
Okay. So what actually ends up happening is while you are talking about, what has gone before, like some of the older ones, they start to kind of like remember back, and you can see a pyramid, a pristine pyramid that's like an alabaster white the whole way through, and above it is like almost like a star of light, just like right at the very tip of it, illuminating. And as the story goes on and they talk about the fires falling, then you get another picture of, instead of this pristine pyramid, it's ebon black now. And shooting up from that, where that star was now, is a beam of dark light, like almost like shadow issuing forth. And, then it just kind of goes almost out like an umbrella, and then seems to go up. And the memory kind of gets disrupted when when he's remembering the pyramid in that darkness, and the darkness doesn't actually seem that high off the ground, but it doesn't go to the ground. It seems to be above his head, and you're kind of getting this perspective of him looking up at it, and then like almost like these shadowy forms that look like these stone monks, but they all look like a combination of these guys and the warped creatures you saw in the graveyard, kind of like throwing themselves at the edge of the gloom and kind of like trying to reach through and pull them through, and then he kind of like you can see like he startles himself out of the memory.
Freaky.
But you definitely got the feeling of like maybe he knew that person, knew that thing.
Okay. So I will pass these thoughts on to everyone else. Not Ty, because I'm scared of him.
So how approachable are the craggly ones, the guys that are supposedly older?
Well, what do you want to try and do?
I want to, go over and start talking to one.
Okay, no one stops you.
Okay.
I mean, someone might go, "Hey, what's wrong? You don't like the food?"
Oh well, I mean, like, after the meal. I don't know if there's anything going on. But,
Bunny brings his plate with him.
I'm not gonna leave the group, but like, I'll sit and eat dinner, and then afterwards I'll try to grab one of these guys.
Okay, you can absolutely do that. So you approach one, and he's kind of watching you with curiosity as you approach him.
Does your kind have names, identifiers?
He cocks his head a little bit and looks at you a little quizzically. Oh, it doesn't work that way for us. But forgive me for my foolishness and my lapse. It's been a long time. You may call me Craigface.
Okay. Well.
Whom am I speaking to? You feel like he seems really awkward, like he's going through almost like a ritual, and he's trying to remember it.
Those who know me call me Bunny. And and I was curious, and I point towards the one that we were speaking to earlier. Your comrade said that there are some who have older memories, and he gestured at you and those that seem to, trying to say this delicately, have passed more years. And
he genuinely laughs. Silly little one. Everything ages. Nothing is immune to time.
I am unfamiliar with your culture, and I wish no insult. So I was trying to be as nice as possible, so that I did not offer any insult or anything of that kind. So your comrade spoke of the magic and holding back the door and all of the polluted magic that now exists within this world. I am seeking to gather more information. Is there anything else that you would be able to tell me of this old magic and new magic?
Well, the old magic that was actually left over from ages past is what was securing the way. It was held by the eternal stone. When the fire fell, or Rose. We can't be entirely sure what happened. The stone must have been damaged or moved or something.
And this was approximately 60 years ago?
60 years, 50 years. It's hard to say at this point.
No, not all not all beings keep records with exactness. I do not know how you and yours do so, or whether anyone's there to actually witness all things at a time. But this event seems a likely what's the word, concurrent to something that we are investigating. So possibly the more information that we are able to garner in regards to this fire and the door and the changing of magic, perhaps all of these clues will be able to point us in the correct direction to be able to find a way to set things as close to right as we mortals have the ability to do.
You and your companions are very brave. It is a dark place now. It used to be verdant and lush, full of life. Now it is just desolate and darkness. None who have gone there have returned.
Well, sometimes in order to banish the darkness, you just need light. And we certainly have that with us.
Interesting. I would like to see this light that you plan to banish the darkness with. Mighty the light must be.
I'll look over my shoulder at the commander. Just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
Israel's not saying anything, but he's like hearing you talking about light, and he's like, surely you're not talking about me. Unless you mean like the light of my gun going off, maybe.
Well, you have literally summoned light before, haven't you?
I have. Summoned light?
Didn't you make your sword glow at one point in time?
It might have glowed. I don't know. My eyes are usually closed when that stuff's going on.
Well, as far as Ted remembers, and thus in turn Bunny, Israel made a sword glow. Therefore, you have the ability to produce light, and therefore,
ooh, I can flick a switch. All right.
I thought maybe Israel was carrying a flashlight or something. I don't know. He pulls out a mag light.
Well, I mean, I can produce light with fire, but it's not exactly the same thing as the person who's actually wielding divine power. But call it what you will.
I'm fucking with people. I'm gonna make this sword seem to glow a little bit inside the house. Illusion. Just like that little crack of light coming out. Just be like, start whistling.
The one known as crack. Oh, I see the light. Will you take it out and show us?
That's kind of a personal question.
We never say that to Israel. He will. He wields his sword with two hands.
Wow, guys.
Using one hand, yes, I will draw my saber and hold it up for all to see.
Lucy pointedly does not look.
And it's if it's glowing with light, he'll say, "Huh, it's never done that before."
I'm gonna make it like fizzle a little bit. You ever see Barry Gordy's
No,
The Last
that's
Dragon?
more like it.
When the show enough is fighting, and then Bruce Leroy gets the glow, and then he's like, "Come on, mother fat head," and like it kind of goes zzz, 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 like that, like a bug light. I'm gonna make it do that.
And he's like, perhaps it is getting close to its purpose. That is why it glows.
Perhaps. I've never seen it do this before.
When he goes to put it back in, the wave of it will say Krizik was here. Bitches.
This is not it. He is laughing so hard right now, it's ridiculous.
So the one at the head of the table speaks to, the one that is identifying himself as Cragface. And Ted, when he's spoken to, you can actually feel that subtle vibration kind of coming off of him. And the other one speaks to him. Enough. Leave the travelers be. And he kind of nods to the other one and sits back down.
So, if whoever I can actually engage in conversation at this point in time, if your is it Order of the what?
Eternal Stone.
If the Order of the Eternal Stone was to guard the door has been opened. Forgive my my prying, but what do you do now?
We wait. We wait for a sign.
We're gonna have to go.
I think us being here is your sign.
Perhaps it is. Like I said, there's not been travelers in a long time.
Have they mentioned where the temple is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it where we were heading, where we think Haven was on the ground?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, it would seem that we have, at the very least, mutual interests and perhaps the same ultimate goals. And we're heading in there. We could use strong allies such as yourselves. If, you're willing to attempt to follow through on your mission.
The Garanda have not mustered in many, many, many years. But Garanda.
Is that what you call your people?
We do.
Well, we all have to start somewhere.
But as you said, perhaps this is the sign. This is the time. This is the time for us to rise up. And with that, they kind of one by one begin standing. And they begin chanting kind of like they were before. You kind of feel like it's some kind of prayer or something. And again, if you're close to them, you you feel the subtle vibration coming off of them. And unlike what they're doing before the meal, this is kind of has more of a higher cadence to it, and it's deeper and getting louder. And as it does, the vibrations kind of get further from them. Let's see. Actually, I would think Bunny and Dr. Lucy probably might have an idea what's going on with a logic check.
Logic. I like logic checks. Kaboom.
15.
Kaboom.
Okay, so the 15, you definitely feel like it's a resonance that their actual voices kind of sets off on in each of the
41.
And 41. You actually understand why they don't use names anymore, because when they speak to each other, they actually just read the resonance. And so there isn't a need to identify themselves. And not only that, they're actually hard to identify for you guys, their appearance. And it might be the same for them, but it might not matter, because when they talk or when they sound and then they resonate, you feel like it's creating for them almost like, images or specific sounds that they would be able to identify.
So they're communicating through vibrations.
But not like you guys are an extra thing that they pick up on each other. Like instead of facial expressions, they have the vibrations that kind of take the place.
Okay. So I'll kind of like nudge Dr. Lucy and be like, I'll whisper that like they communicate expressions and vocal patterns through vibrations.
Oh, they're communicating right now. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
So
That
it's
is
like talking about this.
Absolutely fascinating. Let them. This is really cool.
That's why I kind of did it, quietly so as to not disturb them.
Yeah, well, it's not so much that they communicate. It's more like, they can communicate emotion and basically instead of having visual cues, they have that instead. So, would you guys like to communicate? Would you guys like to communicate outside of the chat?
Well, I'm allowing them to have their conversation to see what they're gonna do. I mean, literally, the commander was like, "Hey, we could use some valiant warriors," and to me, it sounds like they're trying to hash some stuff out. So I'm waiting to see what their kind of reply is. I'm kind of a little, fascinated and intimidated by their, I talk tectonically.
So with that, we have prayed to our old ones, and we will do this with you. We will muster and we will travel. We will leave the outpost and lead you back to the temple.
I am well pleased to hear this.
We don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but nothing has changed in many years. It is time for something to change.
And if you keep doing what you're doing, nothing will change.
I'm liking this confidence streak that Bunny's got going on right now.
I don't know. After a 41, I'm pretty happy. I think it's the highest I've rolled in Open Legend.
Excellent. That is time for the next monster to eat his face.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Dr. Lucy is just like standing back from this conversation with like her hands tucked into the opposite sleeves and listening and like kind of making mental notes.
So perhaps we will spend today socializing and gathering what we'll need for the journey, and tomorrow we will set out.
Excellent.
You all have traveled far. Perhaps you would like to tell tales of where you come from. You say from the sky?
Yes.
How does one come from the sky? You have no wings.
We come from floating cities.
Here, perfect example. Here, Mutt. So I call Mutt over, and is there how tall of a room are we in?
It's a great hall. It's like 20 feet.
So is there like a sconce that's up high on the wall?
High for you, yes.
Okay, so I'll be like, Mutt, go touch that candle, and the little mini struts will pop out, and he'll fly up, touch the sconce, and come back down.
So there's a general mumble and mutter amongst the Garanda. What is that? How did it do it?
That is what our unclean magic is capable of.
Well, the you call it magic. The unclean version up on our worlds, we refer to it as ether. Well, I draw the ether in, and I'll kind of like lift up a section to show where Mutt's battery is. It's like I store the ether in these, and it powers the devices that I have the ability to do. Well, anytime you work with a practice, you have the ability to expand it. If you make stew of a sort, or salad of a sort, you can work in a portion, and I hold out my hands like enough for a bowl, or you can make it in a cauldron. Same practice. Well, just like Mutt here can go up to Candle, we can build ships that use same practice and fly through sky.
So that is true, but some ingredients, if you heat them too much, they will explode. Are you not afraid that your mutt will explode?
Well, I must say that Mutt has been Mutt has taken some damage and has needed to be fixed before. But with everything, when you scale up or down, all recipes must be examined and modified to see what changes need to be done in scale. Prior to us coming down here, others go through this many times and perfect the craft.
The one that was speaking kind of kneels down and to examine the battery and look at it. This Aether, what you call Aether, it is not unknown to us. We way before even the temple was erected, there are those of us that tried to wield the Aether, but it harmed them or drove them mad.
There's an art to it.
We've heard that before as well. But I'm sure if you're wielding Aether, what you call Aether, you know the consequences if you've seen it used in application.
Bunny's not brave. Bunny's not brave like Dr. Lucy. I channel it into things so that I don't have to deal with those problems.
There are consequences to the path of the blade as well. We each have our own road to walk.
Well, the Gorande, we do not use either. So I guess we didn't have to worry about that.
And that's one of the reasons I'm here, is to ensure the Aether does not get out of hand.
And she nods.
With your magic sword?
I would not call it a magic sword. Perhaps just the opposite.
The little ones seem to think so.
Well, the little one, as you called him, is more knowledgeable in certain areas than myself. I just wield the sword. I honestly don't know that much about it.
Ignorance. That is dangerous.
And sometimes it's bliss.
I have heard this saying as well. We have similar sayings amongst our people. So, what do you plan on doing when you find this source that you're looking for?
Shut it down.
That may not be wise.
Heroics rarely are.
Israel will kind of smirk and look around at his fellow party members and say, I think the general consensus would be I'm not all that wise.
Let me elaborate.
You would be correct.
The temple is the key to a door that has been held shut for a very long time, and it has currently been cracked. That is the source you seek. I mean, that part we already know. The problem is how do we uncorrupt it?
And I believe that our answers will lie in the temple itself, and if we do not go, then we will never find out.
Oh, I agree as well.
Every step has given us more clues and brought us closer to towards solving this. And there are problems down here as well as above that need looking into. And if no one does it, as I said, nothing will change. We are looking to make that change.
Well, perchance if we can fix this crack, as you call it, it may set things back to the way they were, or they could even be better. At the very least, it would possibly buy us time. But perhaps it's time this world sort of went its own way and frankly did away with the need for magic doors and magic temples and all of that nonsense.
Perhaps if we could find a way to bring the gods back, we could fix that. Everything seemed to go bad after they left.
Do we know why they left?
The old priests, they had many theories. Some of them say they were fighting a great darkness and keeping them from this world.
Well, we see how well that went.
Darkness made it here.
It lasted a while. Thousand years it's been. But perhaps, as you said, we can make it better. And as your commander has spoken, perhaps if we could drive all the magic from the world, everything would be better.
I seriously doubt that. I don't call hundreds of people falling to their deaths better.
Do you say hundreds? That estimation might be a little low. What do you mean?
Thousands of people. Lucy would know the number.
Three people. 3 people will fall to their deaths. Oh my god.
Yeah, we can live with that.
What do you mean? What do you mean about this reign of death?
Okay, you cut out at the end there.
What do you mean by this reign of death?
There are people in the floating islands that we were talking about. We come from the sky, and those islands are held aloft by Aether.
Ah.
To suddenly cut that off would send them plummeting.
I see the plight. I would not want to be underneath a falling city, to be honest with you.
I am not so sure that our assumptions are even correct anymore. We thought we came here seeking the place we thought Haven was on ground, but now, if this temple is there, then it was already in sky when, you know, they weren't on the ground like we thought.
You are correct that there is wisdom in your words. Two things cannot occupy the same space.
And they also don't have any knowledge of the cities floating away. So.
Right. So perhaps there's more than Aether keeping them aloft.
There's only one way to tell.
What do you have as like the oldest historical record, like date wise? Like how far back does the knowledge you have go?
They like take out a rock and hand it to you.
we have a library that, you know, here in the outpost that is not as well stocked as the one at the temple.
So it sounds like we should go to this temple, because this is the second time I'm hearing this brought up. I'm just saying.
Well, we're going in the morning, and I don't see any reason to stand around here and talk any longer. I'm going to bed if there's a convenient place to do so.
They will absolutely show you to quarters if that's what you wish.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely salty right now too, and not even trying to hide it.
I would be interested to looking at the library. If I can't read the stuff, which is likely the case, if there's anyone who would be willing to assist, I want to look and see how far back they've got. Because if we're talking, thousands of years or tens of thousands of years, whatever it is that we've been in the sky, and these guys are like, oh, this thing happened 60 years ago. Well, let's see what we can do.
I am not salty enough not to leave Bunny with several pieces of paper and some charcoal to take rubbings.
They're probably on stone slabs. I'm sure they're fine. But I can actually cast tongues for you so that you could read them.
So they do, and they do offer you an assistant to assist you, and they kind of laugh, you get the feeling that there's kind of like an inside joke when they offer up someone to assist you, and you're taking to basically a large cellar, which is just lined with stone shelves, and each one of them there's tome after tome, and they are the binding of these books actually is made of stone, but it is actually written on something that's like paper, but it isn't quite paper, more like a leather or something sturdier. But just looking at the tomes, you don't actually think you'd be able to lift them.
Well, then it's a good thing I've got an assistant.
Yeah, it'd be like trying to mount like a monster truck tire.
Oh my.
For you. So, well, comparatively speaking to Bunny, because the books are nearly the size of him. So, so basically the assistant asks you what you want, and then he just pulls them out for you. And once he puts them on the table, you can turn the pages, but you just can't lift them and maneuver the books. You might be able to drag one.
My might is 2, so I'm not strong. So I mean, I'm just gonna do whatever I can, and I just want to see. Oh God, die really? So I want to just see how far back. Like, all right, they mentioned 60 years, so can we get hundreds? Can we get thousands? What kind of information? And I'm not looking for anything specific until I actually get to like what's their oldest. What's their oldest record?
So what you find is like when you're looking through chronologically, is they break things into ages. So things are kind of like dated for an age.
Okay.
And then something will happen, and then it's a new age, and they start over.
All right. So I'm gonna take the paper that Dr. Lucy gave me, and I'm just gonna make like the notes as best I can of okay, well, there's this age, and chronologically before or after there was this one, and I'm just gonna try and see if I can work my way backwards and kind of.
So you have you have the age of the gods.
Okay.
Then you have the age of basically they just call it the Exodus, and that is the gods have left.
Okay.
And then that goes on, and then there's another age of the burning. They call it the age of the burning magic, and that is when the magic. Reading into it, you find out that is when magic went corrupt. In their eyes, anyway. Then you have the age where they're tasked with their duty to the temple.
Okay.
So, which is that's the Order of the Eternal Stone. That is actually the age.
All right. So, Age of the Temple has only been the last 60 years, 100 years.
That's when it ended.
Oh, okay. So this ended 60 years ago. What do they consider the current age?
They just call this the Dark Days. And the writing has gotten less optimistic and very morose.
All right. So Age of the Temple. Do they know how long? Can I piece together any of how long these other 4 ages lasted? Or
basically there is the age before the gods that seems to go on for thousands and thousands of years. The Exodus is that one is actually like the briefest.
Okay.
At like 500 years.
Okay. The burning magic.
The magic rain, yeah. So that the magic rained down in fire and death for 1,000 years.
That had to be a horrible time to be around.
Absolutely, and it talks about in that time, and that's when things really started to change, corrupt. The land got more desolate, more harsh, and it really talks about those that survive finding these like pocket places to carve out and kind of survive, or there were just things were just horribly changed, and it kind of makes you think of the Krizax or that flying snake thing when you're when it talks about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after that, kind of things like settle down, and during the Order of the Eternal Stone is when things are kind of settling down, and the new hierarchy is kind of being achieved. The world is dangerous, but at least like the unstable magic or other effects that were happening is stopped, and temple was erected in order to hold something back. And also you also believe that was also one of the keys to stabilizing the Aether and keeping it from doing what it had been doing, mutating things and just randomly making things basically explode with magic.
Okay.
And the age they're living in now is after the temple had actually fallen.
Okay. So do we know how long the age of the temple, with their duty to it, lasted? Was that thousands of years, hundreds of years?
Yeah, the Order of the Temple, they held that for 2,500 years. These are all approximations too.
Yeah. That makes sense. So I want to, as long as I'm actually able to, keep the assistant or, stay awake. I want to read about the burning magic and just try to see what information I can garner there. Not only for, hey, I'm an Ethermancer, but hey, my companion over there is an actual Ethermancer, and if there's anything that could be gleaned from there that might be helpful.
So you totally understand after reading those things why they kind of consider it corrupt and bad, because there is countless tales of people trying to use ethermancy, and they pretty much all end bad. And not only that, one of the things you kind of gather is that maybe it has something to actually do with the Garanda as well, where they're just not attuned to it, or less so than other races and creatures, and it's actually even more harmful to them.
Or maybe the opposite. Maybe they're so attuned to it they don't have the resistance that someone who's not as
possible as well.
So I'm going through, all the parchment I have access to, getting some notes down, on all of this stuff.
So it's probably going to take you a while. So you're probably up into the wee hours of the night.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And you're also kind of used to dealing with other people and them being impatient with you when you kind of go into this mode of I want to know stuff. But in this case, the Garanda that is kind of chilling with you seems pretty patient and just kind of like whatever you need gets it for you, and just goes back to waiting. If you ask questions, he answers. If you need clarifications on particular words, he's very helpful. So
what is his identifier?
So one of the things from your conversations with you, Gleam, is that he's one of the youngest in the outpost, and he doesn't have one.
How do you get a name? How do you get an identifier? Or has it been so long since you felt the need that your kind don't give them anymore?
We've never given them. We only use them for the outsiders. It makes them feel better. So I have not dealt with outsiders before.
Well, do you want a name? Do you want an identifier?
If it will make you more comfortable.
Oh, I don't need to do things for my sake. That's not usually my forte.
But you asked.
Well,
clearly it means something to you.
Only in so much that from where I come, that's a social norm. But I'm not going to impose that upon you.
To me, you're merely the small, quiet spot.
The small quiet spot, huh? Interesting.
You don't the sounds, the noise doesn't bounce from you.
Oh, that is because there is, significantly less of me than there is of you.
And you're kind of soft. I do not mean offense.
No, there's no offense. I am used to being different from those I communicate with.
Well, even your companions are soft as well. And he kind of, like, to reiterate, he kind of like starts clacking his fingers together, but it's literally like him banging two rocks together.
Well, yes, where we come from, I'll kind of grab my my arm and squeeze the flesh. All are made of, as you would call it, soft, squishy bits. We do not have the Garanda, people who have skin like stone.
It is okay. We try not to judge.
So
he looks at you kind of curious. So are you going to give me a name?
If you want one, I can do it. But if you don't feel that you need one, I don't feel there's.
So it's funny because for the first time, Bunny finds someone that seems as indecisive as him. and so in a social circle.
All right, so I will be slightly more assertive, and so you have been incredibly patient in regards to answering questions and being help. So if you feel that there's a need for me to address you as so, how do you feel about that name, Patient?
Patient? He kind of like rolls it around and tries it out. Patient. I like it. Many of our kind are patient. Greetings, Bunny. I am pleased to meet you, and now I am patient.
Indeed. You will find that the world that I come from, many are eager to move from one thing to the next. They do not have the stillness and the patience to wait for whatever it is that comes next.
Or are others going to think I'm in need of a physician?
Well, it depends upon your inflections. You are not a patient. You are patient. There's a difference.
That is true. So with that, he'll escort you to some place where you can get some sleep for you and Mutt. And was there anything anyone else wanted to do?
Israel's going to go to sleep too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next day, you guys are awakened fairly early, and I feel like Bunny's going to be a little tired because he's been up most of the night.
You weren't drinking again, were you? You know what that does to you.
According to other people, it makes me fun.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 engineers would say that. Just add alcohol, Bunny. As a matter of fact, they sent him away with that T-shirt. So with that, you guys embark the next day, heading towards the gloom. And as you get closer, that's when you can see off in the distance and you realize that it's just like Krizik had seen in his vision, was that it doesn't actually extend to the ground. It's maybe like 12, 15 feet in the air above the ground. It kind of like blankets out and then goes up. And as you guys proceeding closer, you think you can kind of see things moving and swirling in the gloom, flying around. almost or floating around, all like some kind of flotsam or jetsam from a wreckage. But as you get even closer, you realize that those things moving are alive.
That's not good.
Did it look like that in the sky when we made our initial expedition to Haven? Like when we passed through the
When
gloom
you
up
guys
there?
initially went into Haven, like you encountered nothing until you actually got to the city itself. Remember we talked about like it almost felt like maybe they let you in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can also at this point you can also now begin to see the temple, and it's kind of easy to distinguish because it is a pyramid, and it is a darkness that is darker than anything around it.
Okay, so as we're walking, I guess maybe leading up to this, wiping the sleep out of my eyes, I'll share my findings with Dr. Lucy.
Yeah, she'll talk to him about that the whole way there, and file this away. Just trust Bunny to have done his research because he's smart. Bunny knows what he's doing.
And the monks they kind of are following along in two lines, and they're kind of quietly chanting and singing to themselves as you guys march. You kind of find it soothing.
How many?
Are we on the?
What are you gonna say, Megan?
Are we on the road here?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you asked how many, Ted?
Yes, sir.
36. So you guys have a long column of giant monks behind you.
Jesu Domine.
I just typed that.
You guys are now at the gloom and basically passing under it.
Can we see what these flying things are? Do we have any?
Yes, it is very much like how when you go to the aquarium and you have the tunnels and archways. Yeah. Well, it's like that, except for imagine all the fish are insane, hideous monsters.
I resist the urge to reach into my bag and grab that dagger.
Well, I'm trying to gather like more visual. Like, what do these things look like? Like, are they completely aberrant and everything is like different? Are they similar to each other, just with some slight modifications? Are they exactly the same?
No, they are basically all like Eldritch Horror. So there's like tentacles and eyes, and they all look different. And some of them are changing and constantly shifting. Some of them, look like masses of oozes of flesh. Everything is kind of tinged with that gloom. So like it drains away all the color, so you can't really see color. It's more like blacks and grayscales that you're seeing these things in. Occasionally you'll see someone that looks almost like, an elf or a human. And then all of a sudden, like they turn inside out and transform into this monstrous thing. The only exception is that you see several figures now at this point that look like the Garanda, except for they've been, horribly mutated. And where each of the Garanda, every time you look at them, they just like, patient, they just always have this calm and unexpressive look on their face. Well, these things are, they look to be full of rage or pain, or they just look insane.
Are any of these things attacking us?
It looks like they want to, but it doesn't look like they pass outside of the gloom.
Okay, then Dr. Lucy is not bothered yet.
Like you'll see them hit the edge of the gloom and kind of skid along it, and it almost like leaves.
Can I touch the gloom?
You cannot reach it.
Oh, okay. So it's like up there then.
Like 15 feet, but still it'd be outside of your reach.
Okay, that is important context.
So do you are you like reaching up as if you're trying to touch it?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think so.
one of the Garanda, you want to touch that?
Maybe.
Do you think it is wise?
No, but call it a curiosity.
What will this curiosity accomplish?
We learn from it.
Let's see. The Garanda are 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Israel is 6 feet tall. So if one of them boosted me up, that's 13 feet. With his sword, he could probably reach up and touch it.
Well, they're 7 feet tall. If they were to pick one of you up, they could literally push you through it.
I don't want to go all the way into it. I just want to brush it with my fingertips. Can we accomplish this?
I will assist you. I do not think
Thank you.
this course is wise.
You're probably right.
So he basically, he kind of picks you up like a small child, putting you on his shoulders, and then once he secures your shoulders, make your body rigid, and then he kind of grabs your feet and begins pushing you up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna you know how when people are like by water and sometimes they'll skim their fingers over the surface and like just watch the ripples happen. That's what I'm doing with this gloom cloud.
Okay. So when you do that, you see an excessive amount of activity, kind of like in all directions, and it's almost like you just set off a flare because all the things begin like swarming that area.
I draw my hand back. Curiosity sated.
Yeah, like now it's nearly impossible to make out individual creatures. There's so many of them. It almost looks like what do they call that when there's a bunch of snakes? Is it called a swarm? Or a nest?
I think that they're called oh shit, a lot of snakes.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have that going on.
Hey, Krizik, can I have a mental snapshot of this?
Krizik did not know if he want. But sure.
Well, you don't have to keep it. I just want it so I can draw it later.
Krizik and Dr. Lucy invent Polaroid.
Very slow Polaroid.
So,
So according to this, a group of snakes can be referred to as a den, a bed, a pit, or a nest.
Ah.
How many does there have to be a fuck ton? Because that's an actual unit of measurement.
So, after you've discovered a fuck ton of monstrous things forming the largest nest you've seen of hideous, the Garanda that picked you up. So, have you sated your curiosity?
Oh, yes. That was exactly what I was hoping for, I think.
I could get you closer if you like.
Have we tested the gloom before in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not you personally, but numerous people have tried.
Does it burn? Does it do anything?
No.
Oh, while I'm up there, can I get like a vial full of this stuff, or is it too dangerous with all the things trying to come out at me?
You would have tried that when you were on the ship.
In Haven?
In Haven. And it doesn't really work that. It's like it would be like
Okay.
trying to capture a light in a bottle.
Well, then I will get back down onto the road and thank the monk that assisted me.
You are welcome.
Israel's going to use his sword. I'm sure other people already know this, but he wants to find out for himself. If he basically wants to find out if this barrier is magical.
Please don't turn it off. That's a terrible idea. There are so many things on the other side of it, and they might come attacking us if you do.
I'm not nullifying. I'm just using basically detection.
Okay.
I got a 22 on my detection roll.
Oh yeah, strong and dark.
And now I'll shut it off. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that would be the best.
We can take them.
No.
We can take them
Israel,
out to dinner
no.
with us on the menu. That's about all we can take.
I'm with Izzy. I think it was a brilliant idea.
Well,
Of course
Dave, you
you
did
do.
say this was the last session, so that's one way to make it happen.
That's true.
And we end a half hour early as you all become meals for the thing.
Dave's like,
And-
yeah, don't even have to roll for initiative. It's over.
You guys are just now twisted gloom creatures. So I'm going to assume you're kind of like messing with this stuff as you're moving on to the temple
Oh,
itself.
yes.
And you find yourselves, at the base of the pyramid, and standing outside of it looks to be two of the Garanda, but except for they're about twice as tall as any of the Garanda you've seen, and where the Garanda look very stone-like, these literally look like they're made of stone, and their eyes are glowing with that like eerie yellow light to them.
Is that a golem?
That was a golem.
I only caught golem. That's the only word I heard you say. I'm sorry.
That was a golem. I do not know what it is now.
So is it okay for us to attack it then?
How tall is the thing?
About 15 feet tall.
No, I'm willing to try diplomacy. Step aside so we can end your pain.
Oh my god.
And so they both turn and look at you, and then they kind of look up and down the ranks, and then their eyes kind of settle on Krizik, and they look down, and in kind of like a booming voice, yet it's still kind of familiar. You've returned to me, little one. I knew it was only a matter of time.
Wait, Krizik, pretty sure your call sign for me, Maggot. Maggot, right? Krizik, remember you. Great Grand Poobah Turkey. Okay, cool. You have call sign for Krizik, Maggot. Maybe Krizik may call sign for you. Goose, you be Goose. So when Krizik want to talk to you, we say, talk to me, Goose. And then you answer. Cool?
It is so kind of you to bring your friends. What an excellent sacrifice.
Ride. Sacrifice? No sacrifice.
Oh, there'll be a sacrifice. It'll be your bloody corpses chopped up into bits.
So,
But again, I'm offering you the chance to step aside so that we can end your suffering.
using Krizik's words, Grand Poobah Turkey is talking out of the golem?
Yes, pretty much.
So,
Okay, I'm gonna be. You know what? Krizik has increased in power since then, so Krizik is going to mind probe this mother fat head.
Oh no.
Bring it on!
yes, because it clearly worked the first time.
Hey, calm down there, Junior. Krizik has this.
So you reach out, and there is actually no mine there.
Okay. So I don't get it.
You don't. Well, you
Just a puppet.
think it. Yes, exactly.
I didn't hear the exactly.
Megan, Dr. Lucy said it's just a puppet.
Okay, but it's got to be controlling it somehow. So where is it? Is it close because of the gloom?
It could be. Well, you don't actually know how these things really work per se.
So what holds this puppet together?
So, well, apparently the golems were holding themselves together before just fine. So,
Can I make a some kind of knowledge check or engineering check to see how this thing is made, to see if there's any weak spots that I might be aware of?
you don't really need to make a check. It literally appears to be carved from stone. So for you, the more curious thing is how it's able to actually move.
Well, that's Israel's going to ask Bunny and the doctor both. It's like, so what powers this thing? I mean, stone can't move on its own, so something has to power it.
Logic check to figure out where the power source is, Bunny.
I would think if this was made with old magic not need battery like mud.
It is magic. It was crafted eons ago, it would seem.
No.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to immobilize this thing, or like, I guess I can't really do both at once, but I'm going to try to immobilize at least one of them with shadow tendrils. If that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, that would be entropy. Ah, no, don't fall off. Actually need a roll here. $21.
21 versus.
Hold on, that would be it's.
Because you're trying to immobilize it. Was that guard?
No, it's toughness.
Toughness. Okay. 21. All right. So you were able to grab one, and it can't move now, right? It has to break free. So, what are the rest of you doing now? Seems like a good time for initiative.
Yeah, we can take these one at a time. But that's the best I can do.
25.
Holy jeez. $36.
Nice.
I got 31.
Wow.
My 10 setter popped. My 10 setter popped.
So I 31, 36, 25. All right. Well, you guys are clearly going first.
What's the ground made of?
The ground is stone. Oh, and Megan has a 7.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said that out loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started. I had 18. I just put it in the chat.
All right. So you guys are clearly going first. Let me see when our monk friends go. Oh, yeah. They're chilling, watching you guys. They're curious to see what you guys are going to do.
Rocks are slow.
They're pondering.
Okay.
All right, so Ty, you're going first. Do we have any tactical analysis of this that we want to try and exploit?
Have you seen how he operates?
Basically, the one that Dr. Lucy does not have contained, or at least we hope is contained. I'm going to walk over, but not within easy striking distance of him, draw my sword, point it at him, and say, "You were given your chance." And I'm going to use the sword's nullify ability. These things seem to be magic. Maybe I can
Just shut them down.
break them apart, shut them down, break them apart, whatever. So it'll be my protection if this will even work against them. Oh, yes. Natural 20.
Nice.
I got a 35.
Oh, nice.
And if the resolve can beat that, we are all in a lot of trouble.
It cannot. So describe how you do this.
I literally, like I said, I just draw up. I'm probably about 10 feet away from it. I pointed at it, say you were given your chance, and that's really about it. I mean, and using the ability of the sword, I'm not trying to hit it necessarily. Like I say, I want to be away from it so it can't hit me back. And I'll kind of give it a scream of rage as I enact the sword's power.
Okay, so basically a beam of light shoots out from the sword, kind of Lion-O style, slamming it in its chest, and it's like, kind of like almost looks like electricity, like running all over its body, and you're kind of holding it, and it's like just a steady beam, and it is kind of just standing there motionless, and it is absolutely nullified at this moment.
Okay, if I lower my sword, is it still nullified?
That is something you're not quite sure about. You haven't actually had a lot of chances to use your sword on magic constructs.
Okay, well, I'll hold it for the time being.
Like a bug.
Okay, I'll hold it for the time being. Krizik is next, I think.
Krizik.
Okay, so we're just dealing with constructs here. Krizik is going to try.
Where's the bear?
Oh yeah, we'll worry about the bear in a minute. Here's the thing: these things. Ty just said that Israel just said that these things be operating by magic. Is that true? And they're not working by psionics?
Yes.
Crap! I figured that because of the Poobah was here. Well, that defies everything that I originally thought. Okay, so there's no psychic link here whatsoever?
No, not that you can identify now.
Okay.
Sorry, you can't solve it all with psionics, man.
Okay, I know, but it's the Poobah. I thought since it was the Poobah. Okay, well, if that's the case, then Krizik is going to try and knock down a couple of these things. So, what's what I use for knockdown again? Let's see.
It would just be you're attacking whatever power you're using. You would be either attacking their guard or toughness. Probably their toughness.
Well, it would be a guard.
Okay.
Versus guard. So, Krizik shall attackify their Guardicus. So I need 2d8 and my 20. So that's a 9. 17. Never mind.
All right, so energy ripples out from you and kind of blasts them, and it rocks them a little bit, but they do not go down.
Well, then the bear just eats them. I'm sure they're edible to bear. Mineral bear.
We've left you no choice. Feed them to the bear. So roll a d20 plus 2d6.
Well, that's it? I'm tougher than my bear? I rolled a fucking 1. Can you reverse explode on a d20? Like it implodes? Where'd my die go? So it's 3. Oh my god. I got a freaking 9.
Okay, so 9, the bear goes up and starts trying to maul it, but it just scratches across its stony flesh.
We suck.
Bunny.
I'm gonna, target its shoulder. See if I can weaken the stone, leading up to its arm. Don't have very much luck here.
You used it all in that knowledge check.
23 versus their guard.
Okay, so what's the power you're using?
Just shooting it with fire.
Okay, all right. So you do slag some of the metal and stone and melt it some. Which one? The mobile? Which one? They're both kind of immobilized.
I went the one that the Ty's holding.
Okay.
It makes a difference. I went for the right shoulder.
Got you. All right. She's kind of a scuzzy lady, but it's her turn.
Okay, so basically, I might miss some of the details. These things are kind of like guarding a doorway that we want to get through, right?
Yes.
And the only one that's been damaged was the one Bunny just hit.
Correct.
Okay.
Would use the term damage lightly.
Well, How about this then? I will use my barrier and use multi-targeting, since we're trying to immobilize them, to try and make a barrier on both of them so we can run inside. And I'll make a hindering barrier. So because it's split, I think it would be a disadvantage if there's a roll for a thing. So I guess I would roll against my protection. Ooh, we got an explosion. So let's see, that's 33. So basically what I'd like to do is like split the energy of the barrier to hinder both of them, which makes it so they move slowly, I think. Yeah, they move at half their speed, and then just like kind of yell to my companions to get inside while we're holding them off.
Are you going to kind of like lead the way?
I will hold it there until they can get inside, and then follow.
Okay. So they can lock us in?
Well, I want to wait till you guys get in, and then I'll follow you in.
Yeah, but how are we going to get back out with the golems still out here?
I don't know. Who knows if we'll even get back at him? I mean, we came here to stop this thing. To shut this stuff down.
He's looking at delaying this problem until later, after we're softened up by the other stuff. Too easy to win this fight now. We'll win it later.
Or, okay, or whatever. I mean, it'll just slow them down. You can attack them through the barrier if you want. I don't care.
So, all right. So,
they're slowed down, basically. Mechanically, they would move slowly.
Okay. So, the one who kind of was like being shut down by Ty, his eyes light back up, and he begins kind of like throwing off the nullify effect and marching by Dr. Lucy. It begins kind of like shaking, and then it shrugs its shoulders and throws out its arm, and your black, like tenderly energy just kind of explodes out. And it grabs one of the monks up by the throat and just like slams him into the ground. And then another one, the other one that you had immobilized, Dr. Lucy, just comes running towards you with a shoulder block, essentially for a 31 versus your guard.
Okay, I'm down.
How low is your guard?
It's 10. I should have entered a battle trance, and I did not do that.
Ow.
So Dr. Lucy just went sailing through the air. And
I hit the ground, and I am not moving.
So your barrier, it just slows them, right?
Let's see. Yes, it would have made them move at half speed.
Okay. So with that, one of the monks kind of like reaches up and pulls Dr. Lucy out of the sky.
He catches her midair.
Yeah.
Before she sails through the barrier.
And they basically start laying about the golems. They kind of surround them as much as they can. And they're basically just punching at them. And you hear that stone on stone sound, and they're clearly doing something, but it doesn't seem, as effective as it could be with them punching and all. So they're still kind of fighting. What are you doing, Ty?
Well, 3 of us tried to nullify these things, and it didn't really stop them. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. I'll put away the sword, put away the sword, quit drawing my pistol, stone meet lead, and I'll try to shoot one of these things. Okay. Well, that's not good. Oh, well, that's really good. I got a 26, if anyone can hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. It looked like it was frozen for a second there.
So 26 versus guard. So that a huge
Yes.
chunk gets blasted off of its chest. Is there anything else you want to do?
No, that's it.
And it's kind of eerie the way they don't even seem to make any sound or noise.
Cock back the hammer on the other barrel.
And that one is looking really bad between Bunny's fire, your gunshot, and the monks kind of like whittling away at it. That brings us to Krizix.
Okay. Krizik wants to exactly. Yeah, Krizik kind of wants to go like ape shit mode and just like not cool that the one of the only people who's ever been nice to me just got filibustered like that. So no, Krizik just wants to like pull in the psychic energy and just boom, hit it as hard as he can. Do we have something that I can achieve that?
I'll allow you to use your movement.
That's what I use anyway. Okay, well then. Okay, I'm just gonna go full blast.
How about this, Dave? If he wants to go all out, would you give him advantage on the attack roll for them to be able to have advantage on him?
Well, no, he basically wants to do like a kind of like a TK punch.
Mm. Yeah, and I've got inspiration anyway. What a legendary point. You gave us all legendary points recently.
I did.
So okay, I can just use that. And what do we got here? If these things are in the barrier and they're trying to get out, or what just happened? I didn't understand what Doug had just done though.
So I was trying to slow them down or hinder them so we could get inside, but they went right through it. So
they went right
through. I'm just gonna unload on them.
Could they be maybe thrown into the barrier itself?
It was just to slow them down. I guess it didn't.
It just decreases their move speed.
So to put them inside that barrier where the energy, the evil,
the gloom.
It's not going to bother them.
It doesn't bother.
Well, not only that, it's not like an energy. It's not a physical thing.
I understand. It's an aether thing, and that's not what Krizik does. Okay, done.
So if you're willing to lose your mobility for a round, though, I'll give you double advantage.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm going to cast this double advantage. Let's see what Krizik can pull off. So far, that 18 is looking good, and I actually rolled these both. So 3, 24, 34, 36. So it's 36, and just boom to all of them.
Oh, to both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 36.
Oh, okay. So 36. Is that versus? That would be versus their toughness or their guard? It should say. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, you harness and gather up all of your psychic energy and almost send it out in like 2 different like balls of your will, and which then like pierces them and then just explodes out, and with it, so do they.
Nice.
Their heads shoot off like rockets into the air.
So I black hole them like General Electric.
Yeah. All the monks kind of get pelted by, for some minor abrasions from all the stone bits. And now you're kind of like looking up at the gloom and the monsters above you. And
as I drop down on my ass and like, okay, yeah, fix that, walk again.
yeah, and in that instant, like when you're looking up and you destroy them, in that instant you see like all the eyes of all the creatures that are like swarming above kind of go to that eerie yellow color.
Oh.
Is it the eerie yellow with multiple sets of eyes, or just the one?
It's whatever. It depends on how many eyes the actual creature had.
Okay.
So there's some of them where it's just 2 eyes or 1 eye, or there might be like 60 eyes. It all depends.
Okay, so
Crack.
Krizik drops down and says, what do you call it? Get through gate.
Grandpa Turkey saw that.
His name Goose now.
And then so one of the Garanda is cradling Dr. Lucy. We have an injured one.
She's usually the one that fixes people, right?
Israel will run over to her, and he'll take her from the monk. And yeah, this is a bit iffy, but I'm going to try to do healing on her with my presence attribute. Basically, I'm kind of whispering into her ear, telling her nice things, telling her that she's stronger than this, that she can come back and that we need her and that sort of thing.
Okay. So you kind of put your hands on her and start whispering into her ear. Give me a check.
I got a 15. Did not roll well.
Okay, so 15, DC 15, that's fine. So you heal the bare minimum. I think is a D6.
Okay. I got a 4.
Okay, so Dr. Lucy is back up, and at 6.
That's enough to bring me back up from over 0.
And so anyone who's near sees Israel's hands kind of glow with like a silvery light, and kind of go into Dr. Lucy, and she kind of sucks in air and becomes conscious. And Dr. Lucy, you become conscious, but you kind of have mixed feelings about what you just felt and go through you. It conflicts with you internally.
And you're in Israel's arms.
Yeah. Okay. She's going to need to take a second to process this, and then she's going to stand up and kind of dust herself off and pretend like she's composed, even though she's definitely not.
And one of the Garande comes over and goes, "What did you do?"
Me?
Yeah, you. The light.
I'm not even looking at him. I'm taking out my pistol and reloading the fired barrel.
He backs up. Sorry, I didn't mean to prop.
It's like, I did nothing. I just spoke to her. And fortunately, she could still hear me.
Thank you.
As you will.
Most welcome.
Okay.
And then after I'm done reloading my pistol, I'm holding it out. Anybody else got any more questions?
You're impossible.
Is it time to go through the doors?
I believe it is.
So, real quick, the pieces of stuff that fell to the ground, is it all just rock?
Yes, it is worked stone.
Part of me is, a little annoyed.
And by the way, Krizik, good job.
Internally, Chris is not
Oh,
impressed.
Yeah. Israel totally figures that hurts him more than anything.
I'm gonna attempt to.
Worse than javelin.
He's like, I would have rather been shot.
Twice.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, the bear does try to nudge us through at Krizik's behest, and then I did just roll a 27 to heal Dr. Lucy. Anything extra?
Okay.
I'm gonna go over to Krezik and ask him, like, was he being sarcastic?
Krizik pats your shoulder as he walks away and says, "Krizik not smart enough to know that word."
It's he. H-E.
Helium?
What are you using to heal with?
My psychic abilities. I have
What's the rank? The level?
I believe I'm using my prescience, so it would be 6. Power level 6, so
2d8.
Yeah, 2d8. Oh, 21 is the cost. There you go. I had to scroll up to see it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I just Krizik knows that Hiss is always like one pissed off, unconscious Dr. Lucy away. So
Yeah, that's not untrue.
What could possibly go wrong?
Sure.
All right, so so you guys are outside the doors now. What exactly are you doing?
Inside?
There's not exactly a mechanism for opening them, and now you can see that there's actually like carved like runes and stuff on the doors itself.
Are they runes of a language, or are they?
Yeah, they're actually kind of similar to the books you were studying the night before.
Patient. What this say?
It is changed and been altered. It's to me, when I look at it, it looks like gibberish, like everything is out of order.
So can you tell me what it says, and perhaps there's meaning to be derived from here.
He does, but like you said, he says it's a isbit. It's a nonsense word. It doesn't mean anything. It's like someone randomly put letters together.
So I'm gonna take the information he gives and like see if they can be rearranged to make a proper word, or like is there enough there to make a sentence? Is there anything to be construed from it?
Nothing that's obvious.
Is there any change to our surroundings?
No, that's the same right now. So the other Garan, they kind of start like forming a semicircle around, looking on, and they kind of start muttering to each other, and finally they come to a consensus that it's not the same. It's been changed from what it was before.
What was it before? What was it supposed to do?
Before it was just it just the tenets of our order. Now they're all mixed up and gibberish. And if you look at it and he kind of like brushes his fingers across the stone, it's changed, but it doesn't look like it's been changed.
Krizik, can you just blow these doors open?
Right now, in character, thinking that Krizik doing that overload right there was like, I'm probably still walking with a limp at the very least, like shaky legs. So I'm going to try and do tongues first and see if I can't figure this out. If not, then yeah, I guess I'll have to.
Okay, so Basically, you know, you're able to read it, but you get the same thing. Like, you know the characters, but they're all out of order. And so
Can I help him?
it looks like gibberish. Sure. What do you want to try and do?
Anagram.
I want to give him access to my wealth of knowledge. Like, he can get inside my head. He's done this before. We've probably done it for recreation. Like, there is no reason why he can't just take what he needs.
Cool. Yeah, so so you would make the roll then.
Okay.
For a reason using my tongues ability.
No. $22.
Okay. So basically, you're able to reorder things, and you know, in your mind, and you read what it like was supposed to say. You know, the tenets of their order, which is like faith, duty, honor, and when you kind of speak them aloud, the forms a crack in the door, and they begin to kind of like slide apart. But you end up like actually speaking them backwards, and that's what actually triggers it.
So
And with that, an eerie green light is kind of begins cascading out from the opening doors, and you know, fills the area in front of the temple, and washes over all of you, filling you with a kind of like a sense of dread and unease, and pretty much that uncleanness that most of you felt at one time or another. Bunny's wound begins to throb and pulsate. Hiss begins to purr and you know, as his namesake is, hiss loudly, and Krizik hears a distant laughter in his mind as that light washes over you guys. And that's where we'll wrap things up for today. So we will start up next week with you guys getting ready to enter the temple. So with that, I want to thank everyone for hanging out and checking things out. Ted has an announcement, so you want to hang out for that?
Absolutely. So if you guys have been watching any of our other chats, we've talked about the Nerdarchy curated dungeon crate. Today is the last day to sign up. If you want to actually get this, there's going to be Nerdarchy inspired dwarves from Flat Plastic Miniatures. It's the quickest way to actually get those. They actually took, you know, the faces of us three Nerdarchists and turned us into dwarves. I think it's really, the artwork is really fantastic. I'm really excited to actually hold it in my hand. There's a dice tower that actually has dwarven runes on it, as well as the Nerdarchy logo, as well as our chosen charity of choice, which is reading is fundamental. We're all nerds. We like reading books, so we should get more people reading. So that's going to be on there. Related to anyone that actually, every crate that's purchased this month, a portion of that is going to be donated to that charity, which is why that's on that, as well as loads of other items, dice, and what have you. It's a very packed crate, as you know, Wayne has told us. So if you want to get that, today is the last day to do so. Otherwise, you'll be starting to purchase the next month, which is not the one curated by us. So go do it today.
I want to thank everyone for hanging out, and thank you guys for being in the game. And also thank you once again to Open Legend for sponsoring the game. So with that, guys, until next week, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.
They're delicious.